Hi, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Rachel Toplicki. I'm an occupational therapist and work at CanChild, Center for Childhood Disability Research at McMaster University.
And my name is Steve Celaraja. I'm the Professional Education Lead at CDRCP.
And we're going to be speaking with you today about FRIENDS, one of the 6 F words in childhood disability. This is one of a series of 7 webinars on the F words in childhood disability. The webinars describe how the F words can be used with children from 0 to 6 years and their families. The F words provide a broad, strengths-based approach to child development and are based on the World Health Organization's framework, the International Classification of Functioning, Disability and Health, or the ICF for short. The image on this slide shows the relationship between the ICF and the F words. In this webinar, we will be focusing on the F word of friendship, which most closely relates to the concept of participation in the ICF framework. For a full description of the ICF, you can watch the first webinar in this series. So friendships. We all know that friendships are incredibly important in everyone's life. Friends are people to have fun with, to learn with, and to grow old with. Friendship refers to a close relationship between people that is mutual and reciprocal. This means that the people in the relationship will both give and receive something from the connection that they have with one another. Children begin to form friendships at quite a young age, and these friendships are an important aspect of child development.
Successful friendships contribute to the social, emotional, and cognitive development of children. And the act of forming and maintaining friendships has several noted advantages. Friends can provide security and social support for children. Having at least one supportive friend provides an emotional safety net that helps children deal more effectively with new challenges and stressors. Children also appear to have a better attitude overall about school and learning when they have friends there as well. Friends help children develop a positive image of themselves and contribute to an overall sense of well-being. Friends can also support with social problem-solving skills. Since children value their friendships and feel a need to preserve them, they are often highly motivated to maintain these relationships by actively resolving conflicts that may occur, essentially forcing children to negotiate, accommodate, and communicate in an effort to maintain a positive relationship with their peers. Friends can act as a cognitive and social resource for children as well. The experiences they share are important contributors to the growth of mature social problem-solving skills that are used later in life. Unfortunately, there are negative consequences when children do not have quality friendships, such as feelings of loneliness and isolation, which in turn can lead to emotional and mental health issues. A child's self-esteem can be negatively impacted if he or she is not accepted by their peers, which research suggests that early peer rejection correlates with an increased risk for depression and anxiety.
A lack of friendships can be a particular issue for children with disabilities. Research has shown that 53% of children with disabilities have only one close friend or none at all. Kids with disabilities tend to have low contact with friends outside of the school setting. As kids get older, friendships become even harder to develop. The image on this slide shows an example of a common classroom activity in which students write down information about themselves. This particular sheet was posted on a social media site by a parent of an 11-year-old boy who has autism. He responded to all of the questions, but it was his response to one of the questions that is most striking. When he was asked who some of his friends were, he wrote no one. And you can imagine that this left his parents and the school feeling very upset. While this is a reality for many children with disabilities, there are things that we can do as adults in a young child's life to improve this outcome. Research suggests that children without disabilities are much more accepting of children with disabilities when they've had opportunities to interact with them, especially when the adults in the environment set the tone for positive interactions. So what are some examples of things that we as service providers and educators can do? Well, first, make peer relationships socialization, and friendships an important goal. The image on this slide shows a goal written by a teenager with cerebral palsy. He set a goal of wanting to spend more time with his friends outside of school. The reason for this goal, or the why of why he wanted to achieve it, was that he wanted to maintain close friendships with people that are important to him. While certainly this is not a traditional therapy or education goal, we can see how important and what it will contribute to this individual if we're able to help him achieve it. For young children and their families, service providers can seek out and share opportunities for parents to find local recreation programs that are integrated and foster peer relationships and opportunities for their children to play with others. Finding ways for children with disabilities to take part in integrated programs and for children without disabilities to do the reverse has a benefit for everyone. They can play together, learn together, and develop friendships.
Children often look to the adults in their lives for clarity on how to interact and socialize with one another. So it is imperative that educators and caregivers model positive relationships for the young children in their care. Make promoting a sense of belonging a top priority for your programs to ensure that children feel as if they are part of a larger community. Provide appropriate opportunities for children to interact with their peers, keeping in mind their developmental capacities to form and maintain relationships. For example, we expect very young children to demonstrate more egocentric behaviors than their older counterparts. So we must be patient during times when they demonstrate antisocial behaviors, as they continue to master more pro-social skills. Parents and caregivers play an important role in guiding the social development of their children and have the capacity to influence their understanding of peer relationships. Parents can set clear rules for appropriate behavior, help them manage negative feelings, and support them in understanding others' points of view when a problem occurs. As a caregiver, you have a responsibility to ensure that your child has opportunities to interact with children their age. A simple way you can do this is to organize something like a play date, or enroll your child in team sports, clubs, and other recreational activities.
A recent article in the Toronto Star addressed ways to teach kids to be allies for disability inclusion. Sally Lindsay from the University of Toronto and Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital wrote that an important first step is to encourage your child to get to know people with disabilities. They're regular people, just like everybody else. This is reflected in Holland Bloorview's successful Dear Everybody Media campaign, which is raising awareness of the stigma kids and young adults with disabilities face.
It is important not to dismiss children's natural curiosity around exceptionalities. Remember, their young minds are still developing an understanding of the similarities and differences they experience when interacting with other children. So the adults in their lives must support them when trying to adjust their pre-existing schemas and beliefs around children with disabilities. There are several ways we can do this. First, read about disabilities together with children. This will allow you to teach them about things like autism, ADHD, physical impairments in an authentic, meaningful way. Sesame Street is another great example of a great resource. They have many educational videos revolving around supporting children and understanding various exceptionalities. Encourage children to include kids with disabilities in activities. Invite them to things like birthday parties, to play games in the schoolyard during recess, and just generally participate in their classroom and school experience.
When promoting friendships at school, we've had parents tell us how important it is to foster a climate of acceptance, belonging, friendship, and kindness. When teachers set an inclusive example for students, the students tend to follow. An example of a program to support inclusion in the classroom is the Tribes Learning Community. This research-based school program promotes academic, social, and emotional development by creating a positive learning environment. Students work together in collaborative learning groups of 3 to 6 students throughout the entire school year. This encourages connection and friendships between students that may not have come together otherwise. In preparing for these webinars, we spoke with a person who has a younger brother with a disability. She shared that her brother is so happy when he's around his peers at school. He's also part of a recreation group called Spirit, which is for medically fragile kids. He's met friends through the group and meets new kids all the time there. He's so happy to go, and they take him on walks and have group circle. When we took his Make-A-Wish trip, he was so excited to show his friends the photo album. Throughout this webinar, we have shared examples of ways to foster friendships in all children. The web links on this page provide further resources for you to explore. We invite you to go to the CanChild website and take a look at the F-Words Knowledge Hub that has tools and videos that will help you learn more about the strength-based approach. We also encourage you to go to the Holland Bloor View's campaign around Dear Everybody. This site has excellent sources of information about developing friendships for all children. So in conclusion, we would like to share a quote from Helen Keller. "Walking with a friend in the dark is better than walking alone in the light."
Thank you for taking the time to watch this F-Words webinar on friends, and we've encouraged you to go out and be a little bit friendlier to those around you. Thanks.
Thank you.